I have a secret. Can't tell anybody. Guess what? It doesn't exist. I gotta say that again. It doesn't exist. There are some things that we allow to hinder our growth. And guess what? It doesn't exist. I'm guilty. Sometimes I overthink a situation. I just analyze it in my head. I process, I break it down. Because remember, I'm a teacher, not a speaker, right? So I really break this thing down. I have a background in science. That's just my thing. So I really break things down in my head. And sometimes I just have to say, it doesn't exist. I remember when I was a little kid, and I remember sometimes when it would be storming and it would be at nighttime growing up in South Florida. Bad storms, the windows shaking from lightning and thunder. And you'll look over in the corner and you'll swear that it's the monster or boogeyman coming to get you. But when you hit those lights or in the daytime and you go and see it's just a pile of clothes, it's just something propped up in the corner, it does not exist. There are some fictitious narratives that we allow in our story of life that prevent us from truly living, from reaching our goals, from stepping out and going after what we truly desire. Stop creating what doesn't exist. Stop creating the boogeyman under the bed, right? It doesn't exist. I used to ask my students, why is the sky blue? Why is the sky blue? Why? People would say, because it's reflecting the ocean. But if I were to get some water and put it in a container, is the water blue? No. The sky is actually blue. Remember, I'm a teacher, not a speaker. The sky is actually blue due to sunlight, visible light. And as that visible light goes through our atmosphere, it separates into the different colors. Roy G. Biv, the colors of the rainbow. And it just so happened that the blue wavelength, because each color of the rainbow, each actual color of light has a different wavelength. It's called scattering. So the blue wavelength causes the blue light to scatter across the sky. And that's why the sky is blue. It has nothing to do with the ocean. It doesn't exist. The temperature's dropping down here in Georgia, but I'll say this. There's no such thing as cold. Cold doesn't exist. Cold is simply the absence of heat. There's no such thing really as darkness. Darkness is simply the absence of light, okay? Light is something that exists. Heat is something that exists. That's produced from vibrating particles. Stop giving things life. Stop giving CPR to dead situations. Have you ever been driving on the road? Remember, I'm going to keep saying I'm a teacher, not a speaker. Have you ever been driving on the road and it's a hot summer day and you're looking at a road and you see what looks like a big puddle on the road and you keep driving and you keep driving and you keep driving, but you never reach it? Because that puddle does not exist. That puddle is the result of almost like light being distorted. You have visible light coming from the sky, you have thermal energy coming up from the ground, and when they hit this kind of a blur, there's distortion, and it looks like water, but it's not. It's almost like a mirage in the desert. We have to stop giving life to past failures, our insecurities, because guess what? They don't exist. Now, there are some real issues in life. There are some real obstacles. And even because there are, we don't need to add to it. Sometimes we just need to stop, really think about what we're going through, what we're dealing with, what's preventing us from moving forward, and just really look at it and see, is this really a challenge? Is this legit? Last thing, once again, I'm a teacher, not a speaker, right? So there's something known as the Northern Lights or the Aurora Borealis. Just to break that down real quick, that happens once again like close to the poles, and you'll see these beautiful displays of color in the sky. Now, where does that come from? The Earth is a gigantic magnet. Magnets naturally are made up of iron, nickel, and cobalt. Those are three elements: iron, nickel, and cobalt. And guess what is at the center of Earth? Our core. It has two parts. Our core is about the size of the moon, if you didn't know that, right? So it's the inner core and the outer core. The inner core is solid. The outer core is more like a liquid, right? But the inner core is made out of iron, cobalt, and nickel. The outer core made up of iron, cobalt, and nickel. And the center, the core of our Earth is kind of moving. So the Earth creates a strong magnetic field. That's why I could take out a compass and other things, and I'm able to detect the direction and so forth. Once again, because the Earth is a gigantic magnet. So think about this. Where are magnets the strongest? At the poles, the North and South Pole. And when it comes to the Earth, which is a magnet, it has a geological North and South Pole, but it has a magnetic North and South Pole, which sometimes align with the geographic North Pole. That's why at the poles, we see these lights. So where do the lights come from? Once again, the Earth is a magnet, right? And the magnetic field is the strongest at the poles. So think about this. You have these strong magnetic waves coming from the Earth, coming up. And then you have the electromagnetic waves or light waves coming from the sun. And they're coming and they collide. And there's a little distortion right there. They're overlapping and so forth, right? There's that interference of the waves. And that distortion creates the northern lights. Why did I mention the northern lights or the aurora borealis? Not just to tell a story, but there are some, ancient cultures, and no disrespect to their beliefs, but there are some cultures or people from the past that believe that the northern lights, the northern lights were actually these beings in the sky carrying torches and so forth. It was based off of limited knowledge, but I just have to say this all respect. It doesn't exist. So take the time today to identify what really doesn't exist so I can get over it and move forward. Remember, I'm a teacher, not a speaker. Let's have an amazing day.